Hi everyone, and welcome to the first video in a new series, ladies and gentlemen, of videos to help you with your GCSE history exam. And this particular series of videos, here's a clue. It's all about America, or to be more precise, it's all about the American West, 1835 to 1895, 60 years. Now, that's quite a short time period in history, not if you compare it to a lifestyle. Many of you are 15 or 16 years of age. That's all you've had in your life. We're looking at 60 years. It's your period study in GCSE history. A lot's happened in America in those 60 years. Hopefully, you'll find some of it at least reasonably interesting, and it'll help you to do well in your exam. First of all, the course itself is divided into 3 sections. Topic number 1, the early settlements of the West, 1835 to 1862, around about 25 years. Now, you'll be seeing a lot of America. Here we have a rubbish map of America drawn by me. The eastern side of America, we're not really going to bother too much with that in this course. We're more interested, ladies and gentlemen, in the West, the American West. As you can see here, it's divided into 3 sections. We'll look at these in a bit more detail later. But we are looking at people going west, moving west to the American West. What we're going to look at, this section here, known as the Great Plains. We're going to look at the people who lived there first, sometimes called Native Americans, sometimes called the Plains Indians, and we will study their lifestyle. Then, in this first topic, we look at migration, people moving, settling, first of all the way over here in Oregon and California, but later beginning to settle on the American West, on the Great Plains. So we look at the migration and the settlement. And that, ladies and gentlemen, as we will see, led to conflict, problems, fighting, and we need to know what caused all this problem. That's topic 1. Topic 2, the development of the plains. What actually happened? 1862 to 1876, about 15 years. Now, in this period, before people started to settle here, before it was just the Native Americans, people called this the Great Desert. What does that imply? What does that suggest? Well, a desert, difficult to live, difficult to survive. But people began to move and settle and try to survive there. Why? What is going on? How did they survive? What happened with the developments? Well, we'll look at a variety of things. We'll look at the development of the railways being built. We'll look at farmers, or as they were called, homesteaders. We will look at a very, very famous image of the American West, the cowboys. Howdy, folks. The cowboys and the cattlemen. These are what we will study in this second part of the course, the development of the plains. We will also look at the problem of law and order, or rather, at the start, no law and total disorder. Why was it such a problem? How did law and order get put in so that people could live and survive there and lead comfortable lives? Comfortable, question mark. Also, as people began to move and live and settle on the plains, the cowboys, the cattlemen, the railway workers, the homesteaders, the farmers, they are coming into contact with the Plains Indians. What did that mean? Well, one word: conflict. And that leads us to the third topic, ladies and gentlemen. Topic number 3, conflict in the American West, 1876 to 1895, round about 20 years. We'll look at the changes in the American West, what those changes, developments meant for the Plains Indians and their way of life. Changes in farming, changes in cattle, changes in transport, changes in cities, changes in law and order. Put all that together, and without giving too much away, ladies and gentlemen, we are looking at the destruction of the way of life of the Plains Indians, the people who used to live there. So that's the course. 3 topics, 60 years. Now, a quick bit about the exam. Number 1, do not get too worried about it yet, because as we go through this series of videos, we'll have a look at some of the questions, and hopefully I will show you some of the things that you'll need to know to do well in that exam. You can do well. More detail coming later. What are the examiners looking for, ladies and gentlemen? 2 main skills. Number 1, your knowledge and your understanding. You need to know, in other words, what actually happened. You will need to know detail. You will need to know facts. Now, obviously, your teacher will give you a lot of that as well. Hopefully, these videos are just a bonus for you, an extra way. Maybe you can check them out at home or do them for a bit of revision as the exam comes closer. So that's the first thing, knowledge and understanding what actually happened. The second skill that they need you to master, thinking historically. Now, what does that mean? Sounds great, doesn't it? But let's break it down and be a bit more simplistic. It means you explaining things. Explaining what? Well, how things changed or how things stayed the same, change and continuity. Or explaining what caused things to happen, causes, reasons, and what consequences occurred as a result of these causes, cause and consequence. And the final thing, how significant, how important certain events were in leading to other consequences. They're the 3 things: change and continuity, cause and consequence, significance. How significant? You'll have to do 3 questions in this part of your GCSE history exam, about 50 minutes. Question 1, explain 2 consequences, 8 marks. Don't worry, we'll look at some of these. Question 2, write an account of something, 8 marks, showing your knowledge. Question 3, explain the importance or significance of 2 events, 16 marks. That is what we're aiming for, right at the end of the course. But as I stress, do not worry about that yet. We've got to find out what's happened first, and then we can build on that with our historical skills. So, let's have a look at America. Back to my silly map. The first thing I want to try to get over to you in this introduction, ladies and gentlemen, is the size of America. America is massive. To give you a rough idea, there we go. Britain. You could fit about 40 Britons into America. So it's huge. That's the first thing that needs to get into our head. It's so big, in fact, that America has different time zones. Over here, for example, New York. Over here, for example, I don't know, Los Angeles. If it's 9 o'clock in the morning in New York, it's maybe 6 o'clock in the morning in Los Angeles. It's so big that they have different time zones. Now, as I said before, we're not really concentrating on the eastern half of America. We're concentrating more on the west. three sections, as we can see. The Great Plains, sometimes known as the Great Desert, for reasons we will study, where mainly the Plains Indians lived. This section here, where there were quite a few mountainous areas, stuff like the Sierra Nevada, etc. And then over here, Oregon and California on the coast. So they're the sections that we will be studying over this series of videos. There's a few questions we can ask ourselves. Key questions. Now, I always used to call them the 5 W's plus 1. Who, where, why, what, when, how. I'm a who, where, why, what, when. I'm a who, where, why, what, when. I'm a who, where, why. I'm a who, where, why. I'm a who, where, why, what, when, how. The 5 W's plus 1. Important questions for us. What are we going to be studying in these videos? How did the Plains Indians survive on the plains? Why did people in the east of America decide to move west? How did they get there? What was the journey like? What happened when they got there? Why did people decide to settle on the Great Plains? Why did that decision lead to fighting and conflict with the Plains Indians? How did those new people survive on the Great Plains? How and why were the Plains Indians destroyed? They're the key questions that we're going to be looking at in the next few videos. So there's our very simplistic, hopefully you're fully on board with all of that, our simple introduction. We've looked at the course, we've looked at some of the key questions. That's really all we need to know for the introduction. What we need to do next, is get on with the course. Study it. Topic 1, the early settlement of the American West, 1835 to 1862. We'll be looking at the Plains Indians. How were they organized? What are the Plains Indians all about? Well, that's coming, hopefully, very soon in the next video. Until then, no longer a cowboy. Howdy, partners. Next video, the Plains Indians organization, coming soon. Hope it's been useful. All the best. Hope to see you soon. Bye now.